Hi guys, we're starting Pythag today. If you haven't marked exercise 8.3 from the last video, please do so. And then you can rule off after that exercise and write down the date, which is the 6th of April. And your heading is Pythagoras. Okay, so Pythagoras was a guy that developed a way of figuring out the length of the hypotenuse in a right angle triangle. So the hypotenuse is the side that's opposite the right angle. It's also the longest side of a triangle. Okay, so he figured out how to calculate C, and the way that he did that is he said the short side, so A squared, plus the other short side squared, so B squared, is equal to the hypotenuse squared, C squared. Okay, so that's kind of what it would look like. So hypotenuse squared is equal to the one short side squared plus the other short side squared. Okay, so let's do an example. Here's my triangle. I've got SUT. Please will you copy this into your books and make sure you've got a statement and a reason column because Pythag forms part of geometry. Okay, so my statement is basically an equation. Okay, so something plus something is equal to something. In this case here, I need to figure out what my hypotenuse is. So my hypotenuse is there opposite the right angle. So ST squared will be equal to SU squared plus UT squared. Reason, Pythag. Okay, I do know what those side lengths are, so I can fill that in. So I'm going to have 4 squared plus 6 squared. And if I calculate that, I'm going to have 16 plus 36, which is 52. Okay, there I've worked out ST squared, right? So I'm not trying to work out ST squared. I want to work out ST by itself. So how do I get rid of the square? I need to do the opposite, so I need to square root. And if I square root that, I'm going to get a bunch of decimals, which I need to round off. In this case, I'm just going to say 2 decimal places. So ST is equal to 7,21 millimeters. Okay, so there I was calculating the hypotenuse. Let's do an example where they give you the hypotenuse. Okay, so copy down example, the next example, example 2. Alright, so here they've given me my hypotenuse, which is 10 meters. They've also given me one of the short sides, so that's 2 meters. So if I write this as a statement, I'm going to say hypotenuse squared, so G squared equals E squared plus F squared. And then if I fill in the values I know, those will be them, so 10 squared and 2 squared, which will give me 104. And then I need to get F alone, so I'm just going to say 100 minus 4, which is going to give me 96. And then if I square root those, I'm going to get that. And now I need to round off to 2 decimal places, so let's just see how you do that. So the 7 here makes the 9 round up to 10, which makes the 7 round up to 8. So you're working with F is equal to 9,80 meters. Okay, the next couple of examples I'd like you to do by yourself, so just pause the video and then you can carry on once you're done. Okay, so you're trying to work out X and Y. Alright, I'm going to start in this triangle here because it's got the most amount of information given to me. So I'm looking for my hypotenuse. My hypotenuse is opposite the right angle, so X. So X squared is equal to 4 squared plus 3 squared. Reason, Pythag. Okay, that will give me 16 plus 9, which is 25. And if I square root that, I know that X is equal to 5. Okay, so I've got X. So now I can go on to my next triangle. So instead of X, I can put down 5 centimeters. And I need to work out Y. Okay, so if I work out Y, I'm looking for my hypotenuse again. So Y squared is equal to 5 squared plus 12 squared, Pythag. And once you simplify that, you're going to get that Y is equal to 13. Okay, so both of those you're trying to work out the hypotenuse. Let's go on to example 2. Please will you copy it down. You're trying to work out the values of M and N. In this case here, both M and N aren't hypotenuses, or hypotenuse, whatever you want to call it. So in this case here, my first triangle there, 15 is my hypotenuse because that's the longest side. Okay, it's all the side opposite the right angle. So I'm going to have 15 squared is equal to M squared plus 12 squared, Pythag. If I calculate that, I'm going to work out that M is equal to 9. Okay, do N. Alright, this one here, my hypotenuse is 20 because it's opposite the right angle, so 20 squared will be equal to 12 squared plus N squared, Pythag. Okay, so 20 squared, that will give me 400. 12 squared is 144, so I subtract the 2, and I'm going to get 256, and if I square root those, n is going to be 16. Okay, they could go further. They love to combine Pythag with like area and perimeter and stuff like that. So they would give you this, and then they would say calculate the area and perimeter. You would need to first calculate the sides, which is what we've done, and then you could calculate area and perimeter. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do. So write down calculate the perimeter and calculate the area, and we're going to do those. Okay, if you remember how to do this, then you can stop the video now and do it. Otherwise, I'm going to show you. Okay, so perimeter is basically I add all the sides together. So only the outside of the shape I add. So I'm going to say 9 plus 16 plus 20 plus 15. Don't worry about the inside. And I'm going to get 60 units. Okay, I say units because they haven't given me a unit. So usually when they do that, you just write units. Okay, then I need to calculate the area. Okay, I know that the area of a triangle is equal to a half base times height. Okay, so a half of the base times the perpendicular height. Okay, I am going to work with the whole triangle altogether. So I'm going to say this is my base here. So BC is my base, which is equal to 16 plus 9. Okay, my height that I'm working with is the line that's perpendicular to this line. So that's this one here, AD. Okay, so if I fill that in, I'm going to get 25 times 12. So a half times 25 times 12, which will give me 150 units squared because I'm working with area. Alright, then I'm going to give you another example. So do this one again alone. You asked to work out the height of the triangle. Okay, so we are working with Pythag, so choose a right angled triangle to work in. Alright, so I'm working out my height. I'm going to work in this triangle here. Okay, so I don't have my height. I know that this one here is 5 centimeters because those two have lines on them, which means they're the same. So this here is equal to 5. This here, I don't know what that's equal to, but because it's an isosceles triangle, it's been split in half. So I know that each of those is equal to 3 centimeters. Okay, so I'm going to say hypotenuse squared, which is 5 squared, is equal to 3 squared plus height squared. Reason, Pythag. And once I work that out, I'm going to get that the height is 4 centimeters. Cool. Okay, so that's Pythag. The last thing I wanted to show you in this video is how to leave things in surd form, because sometimes they do ask you to leave it in surd form. So say, for example, you get the square root of 8, right? Okay. If I put the square root of 8 into my calculator, okay, so there it is, square root of 8, and I press equals, I get 2 square root 2. Okay, but how does it get to that? So I'm just going to show you how to do that. Okay, so I know that 8 is equal to 4 times 2, right? So 4 is a square root, so that's why I chose 4. Okay, so I'm going to split it up, and I'm going to say 8 is equal to the square root of 4 times the square root of 2, because 4 times 2 is 8. Then I can square root one of those. I can square root the 4, because 4 is a perfect square. So I'm going to say the square root of 4 is 2, and I just write it as 2 square root 2. Okay, try this example by yourself. Right, so simplify the following. Okay, so square root of 45, how can I write that with a perfect square? I can write it as 9 times 5. Okay, and then if I square root the 9, I'm going to get 3 square root 5. Okay, because 5 can't be square rooted. Okay, so if they do ask for it in surd form, that's the way that you would do it. Your homework for today are these 2 exercises. In exercise 11.1, number 5 is a challenge. Okay, good luck.